The Knud Rasmussen-class patrol vessels are the only military-grade surface platforms with year-round operational presence in Greenlandic waters. 3 ships in the class, designed for fishery inspection, search and rescue, and sovereignty enforcement. Each displaces roughly 500 tons. Top speed around 20 knots. Armed with a single 12.7mm heavy machine gun. No missile systems, no torpedoes, no close-in weapon systems. The hull is ice-strengthened, not ice-breaking. That means they can push through first-year ice in protected fjords, but cannot operate independently in multi-year pack ice or during winter in exposed northern waters. These vessels patrol the exclusive economic zone, monitor foreign fishing activity, and provide logistical support to remote coastal settlements. In a scenario involving external military force, their role would be limited to early detection and reporting. They lack the speed to intercept fast-moving surface contacts and the armament to engage anything beyond small boats. Their value is not in combat, but in maintaining a persistent presence that can relay information back to Danish command structures. If communications are severed, or if they are operating in contested waters, their utility drops to near zero. They cannot operate without external logistical support. Fuel, parts, and crew rotation all depend on airlift or resupply from Denmark. The Challenger CL-604 Maritime Patrol aircraft is the airborne surveillance backbone. 1 aircraft, occasionally 2, deployed on rotation to Kangerlussuaq. The Challenger is not purpose-built for maritime patrol. It is a modified business jet fitted with sensors, electro-optical cameras, and synthetic aperture radar. Range is around 4,000 nautical miles. Endurance roughly 6 hours. It can cover large sections of the coast in a single sortie, but cannot loiter over a target area for extended periods. The aircraft is unarmed. It carries no torpedoes, no depth charges, no air-to-surface missiles. Its function is purely reconnaissance. It identifies surface vessels, tracks icebergs, and monitors environmental changes. In a military context, it would detect inbound naval or amphibious forces and relay their position. It cannot engage. It cannot jam. It cannot provide close air support. If hostile air defense systems are present, it becomes unusable. The Challenger has no radar warning receiver, no countermeasure suite, and no electronic warfare capability. It is a civilian airframe operating in a permissive environment. Loss of this platform would eliminate Denmark's ability to maintain airborne situational awareness over Greenlandic waters. There is no backup. There is no reserve fleet. If it is grounded due to maintenance, weather, or enemy action, the surveillance gap is total. The Sirius Dog Sled Patrol is a 2-man reconnaissance unit operating in the Northeast Greenland National Park. 12 personnel total, deployed in pairs. They use dog sleds, not snowmobiles, because mechanical systems fail in extreme cold and sleds can be resupplied with locally hunted game. Patrols last between 4 and 6 months. Distances covered can exceed 4,000 kilometers per deployment. Each team carries rifles, typically the M1 Garand or similar bolt-action systems, along with survival gear, tents, and communications equipment. The patrol's mission is sovereignty enforcement and early warning. They document foreign activity, illegal landings, and environmental violations. They do not engage armed forces. They are not trained for direct action. They are not equipped for it. Their relevance in a military scenario is symbolic and informational. They can report the presence of foreign personnel or equipment, but they lack the speed, firepower, and numbers to delay or disrupt anything. If they encounter hostile forces, doctrine is to evade and report. The harsh environment is their primary defense. Any force attempting to operate in their patrol area would face the same logistical and environmental constraints. The Sirius Patrol proves that long-duration presence is possible, but only with pre-positioned supply caches and extensive cold weather training. Without those, the environment alone becomes the obstacle. The Greenlandic police operate small coastal response boats for law enforcement and search and rescue. These are rigid hull inflatables and small aluminum-hulled craft. None exceed 10 meters in length. top speed around 30 knots in calm water. They carry handheld radios, basic navigation equipment, and occasionally a mounted light machine gun for wildlife defense. They are not military assets. They are not hardened. They are not designed to operate in contested environments. Their role is limited to harbor security, fisheries enforcement in sheltered bays, and medical evacuation from coastal settlements. In any scenario involving external military force, these boats would be the first assets lost. They have no armor, no electronic warfare capability, no radar, and no ability to operate beyond visual range. They depend entirely on commercial marine radio networks and civilian GPS. If those networks are jammed or destroyed, the boats lose all command and control. They cannot coordinate with military platforms. They cannot identify friend from foe beyond visual recognition. Their contribution to territorial defense is effectively zero. Station Nord is the northernmost permanent military installation in Greenland, located at 81 degrees north latitude, operated by the Danish military as a forward logistics hub and weather station. Permanent staff of around 6 personnel, increasing slightly during summer. The station maintains a gravel airstrip capable of handling C-130 transport aircraft. Fuel storage, vehicle maintenance facilities, and basic medical supplies are on site. The vehicles present are primarily snowmobiles, all-terrain vehicles, and diesel generators. There are no armored vehicles. There are no heavy weapons. There are no air defense systems. The station exists to support Arctic research, provide emergency response, and demonstrate Danish presence in the high Arctic. In a military context, its value is as a refueling and resupply point. It can extend the range of transport aircraft and helicopter operations. It cannot defend itself. The airstrip is undefended. The fuel storage is above ground and exposed. A single airstrike or sabotage operation would render the station inoperable. Without Station Nord, Danish ability to project any kind of presence into northern Greenland collapses. The station is a logistical anchor, not a defensive position. Air Greenland operates a fleet of Dash 8 turboprop aircraft for intersettlement transport. These are civilian airliners. They carry passengers and light cargo between Greenland's small regional airports. The Dash 8 has a range of around 1,200 nautical miles and can operate from short, unpaved runways. In peacetime, these aircraft are the lifeline connecting isolated communities. In a military scenario, they could theoretically be used to transport light infantry, move supplies, or evacuate personnel. But they are unarmed, unarmored, and completely dependent on civilian infrastructure. They require ground-based refueling, maintenance crews, and air traffic control. If airports are seized or damaged, the fleet is grounded. If fuel supplies are cut, the fleet is grounded. If hostile air defenses are active, the fleet cannot fly. There is no military command structure that directly controls these aircraft. They are operated by a commercial entity under civilian regulations. Requisitioning them for military use would require legal coordination, crew training, and logistical integration that does not currently exist. Their contribution to any defense effort is entirely theoretical. The Danish Air Force operates C-130J, Hercules transport aircraft with Arctic capability. These are military transports, not patrol planes. They can land on snow and ice runways, carry heavy equipment, and perform airdrop operations. Range is roughly 2,000 nautical miles with a full payload. Denmark operates a small fleet of these aircraft, but they are based in Denmark, not Greenland. Deployment to Greenland requires advance notice, approval, and coordination with NATO airlift schedules. The C-130J can deliver supplies to Kangerlussuaq, Thule, or Station Nord, but it cannot operate continuously without forward basing. There are no dedicated C-130 maintenance facilities in Greenland. There are no spare parts stockpiles. If an aircraft suffers mechanical failure, it must return to Denmark for repair. In a contested environment, these aircraft would be used to evacuate personnel, deliver small infantry units, or resupply isolated outposts. They are not combat aircraft. They carry no offensive weapons. they have limited defensive countermeasures. If hostile fighters or surface-to-air missiles are present, C-130 operations would be suspended. Their primary value is in the initial hours of a crisis, before air superiority is contested. After that, they become liabilities. Kangerlussuaq Airfield is the largest civilian airport in Greenland and the only one capable of handling wide-body commercial jets. The runway is over 2,800 meters long, paved and maintained year-round. Ground support equipment includes fuel trucks, baggage loaders, de-icing systems, and basic fire and rescue vehicles. There are no hardened aircraft shelters. There are no revetments. There are no surface-to-air missile batteries. The airfield is entirely civilian in design and operation. Refueling infrastructure can handle large aircraft, but fuel stocks are limited and resupplied by tanker ships during the summer shipping season. In winter, fuel reserves can run low. If refueling is disrupted, airlift operations cease. The airfield has no radar beyond basic civilian air traffic control. It has no early warning capability. It has no ability to detect or engage hostile aircraft. In a military scenario, Kangerlussuaq would be the primary entry point for airlift operations. It would also be the primary target for any force seeking to isolate Greenland. A single runway means a single point of failure. Cratering the runway or destroying fuel storage would shut down all heavy airlift. Repairing the runway would require engineering units, heavy equipment, and time. None of those are pre-positioned. The airfield is a strategic vulnerability, not a strategic asset. Thule Air Base is a United States Air Force installation in northwest Greenland, but it includes Danish liaison personnel and emergency response units. The base is built around a 10,000-foot runway, capable of handling strategic bombers and large transport aircraft. Ground vehicles at the site include snowplows, fuel trucks, fire and rescue vehicles, and a small number of security response trucks. These are not combat vehicles. They are not armed. They are designed for airfield operations, not territorial defense. The Danish presence at Thule is administrative and logistical. They do not control the airfield. They do not operate air defense systems. They do not command combat units. Their role is liaison, search and rescue coordination, and support for Danish personnel transiting through the base. In a military scenario, Thule would be controlled by the United States. Danish personnel would have no independent operational authority. The emergency response units could assist with firefighting, medical evacuation, or runway repair, but they cannot defend the base. That mission falls to U.S. forces. The vehicles present are utility platforms. They extend operational tempo, but they do not add combat power. Thule Air Base also hosts the Ballistic Missile Early Warning System, a large phased array radar designed to detect intercontinental ballistic missile launches. The radar is operated by the United States Space Force. It is not a weapon. It cannot shoot down missiles. It cannot engage aircraft. It is a sensor. Its role is to provide early warning of a strategic nuclear attack against North America. The radar is hardened against electromagnetic pulse and can operate in extreme Arctic conditions. It is not designed to track low-altitude aircraft, cruise missiles, or small surface vessels. Its field of view is oriented towards space and the polar trajectory of ballistic missiles. In a conventional military scenario, the radar provides no tactical benefit. It does not contribute to air defense. It does not support ground operations. Its value is entirely strategic, and its operation is entirely under U.S. control. Denmark has no access to the data. Denmark has no operational input. The radar is on Danish sovereign territory, but it is not a Danish asset. If Greenland were contested, the radar would continue operating as long as the base remains secure. If the base is overrun, the radar becomes inoperable, but that would require a level of force projection that implies much larger strategic concerns. Arctic communications infrastructure in Greenland relies on hardened satellite ground terminals and relay stations positioned at key sites including Kangerlussuaq, Thule, and Station Nord. These terminals provide encrypted military communications between Danish forces and command structures in Denmark and NATO. They are not mobile. They are not redundant. Each terminal is a fixed installation with backup generators and limited fuel reserves. The terminals are vulnerable to physical attack, electronic jamming, and supply disruption. If fuel runs out, the generators fail. If the generators fail, the terminals go offline. If the terminals go offline, command and control collapses. There are no tactical radio relay systems deployed across the interior. There are no airborne relay platforms. There are no undersea cables. All long-range communication depends on satellite links. If those satellites are unavailable, either due to technical failure, orbital debris, or hostile action, Greenland becomes communicationally isolated. All forces on the ground would revert to line-of-sight radio, which has a range measured in tens of kilometers. Coordination between dispersed units would become impossible. Without communications, the few platforms present cannot be synchronized. The patrol vessels cannot be directed. The aircraft cannot be tasked. The ground stations cannot report. The entire system depends on the satellites remaining operational and accessible.